Justina, this is our very first podcast.
I know, it's so exciting.
Can you believe that it has been 5 years since we have been the Heritage Group?
No, that doesn't even seem possible. It just seems like we just started. It seems like I came on my time hop the other day of Silas sitting on the desk next to me while I was typing an email, and he was just so tiny. And now he's in kindergarten. I just can't believe that we've already gone 5 years.
I know, it's crazy. First of all, I just want to say I am really excited to talk about this. I'm not sure that we've ever told our full story on video or on a podcast before, so I'm excited to jump in and talk about it. Let's start with how Heritage Group came to be, where we started location-wise, and then how we got to be where we're at. So I'll let you give your side of the story. I'm sure ours is very similar, but
yeah, I think it is. So let's see. Well, we started with just a meeting of, hey, we've got some properties we think we want to sell. Why don't you come out here and meet with us? And then that conversation quickly turned to, because we've been close family friends for so long, that turned into a catch-up session / let's talk hopes and dreams and goals and all of that stuff. And then by the end of the conversation, it was, hey, why don't we open a real estate company? And then that seemed crazy.
It did seem crazy. And it was so fast. I think it was in a matter of maybe 30 minutes of us talking and just deciding how we want to do this. And and from my side, to jump off of that, my family decided to build out the residential over at Heritage, which I think by now most people have heard of the porches. If you're from here. So we started building the porches, and we were going to sell all of the porches. And so I was talking to my dad, and he said, if you could have your dream real estate agent, broker to sell these, who would it be? And I said, well, it has to be Justina Johnson, obviously. So we start that conversation. Like you said, you were going to sell the houses. And then the more we talked about it, we decided, wow, this would be a cool opportunity to do something. And, being women owned was really cool to us. And we're not big feminist, anti-men women, but we are independent. We love being able to build and do something together. And so we decided to do it. And I want to say it went pretty quickly from there. We opened in October. Was it 2019, I believe? I think it was 2019.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was crazy because it was quick. I was thinking about that while you were talking. I remember talking to my dad on the way out to your house. And then, of course, when the call dropped or whatever, you hit that section.
You hit the natural downhill and it just drops.
I'll talk to you later. So then when I got back up the hill, I called him back and I was like, well, turns out maybe I'm not listing properties. And I was just like, Dad, this seems crazy. And and then the more we talked about it, the more, our views lined up so similarly. Our hearts were the same. The goals for the company, the goals for our families were the same, that it was like, I know this seems crazy, but we've got to say yes. We've got to do this.
And I remember one of the times, the aha moments for me that I thought this could be a God thing was when you said, I really need to pray about this. Give me a minute to pray about it. I don't do anything under pressure, which that was a little bit of foreshadowing on what our partnership would look like, because I'm such a all in, let's go, diving in. And you're always the let's stop. I've learned that God doesn't do anything in a rush, let's pray about it. Let's let the Holy Spirit lead. And so you've taught me that. That's probably been my best takeaway from being your partner, is really learning how to wait on God. And man, it was such an awesome journey from that moment, because then we started in one of the houses at the porches. We opened up, it was you and I, and then I guess it was Brandon, Yolanda first.
Brandon, Nadia, and Yolanda first, and then Ashley.
So our agents, we started with those core group of agents, the OGs, if you will. And then we started to really feel like God was telling us to lay the foundation first. And I remember you telling me, in real estate, it's just like in every other industry. Because I was new to real estate, my family had a background in building. So I knew that portion of the industry, but you taught me a lot in how relationships were so fundamental in real estate. And you were careful. You told me, you said, let's do everything with excellence and with relationships in mind.
Yeah. It really does make a difference. If you can send a contract over to somebody that's easy to work with than one that, gets a job done. And I think there's a misconception in real estate that everything needs to be an argument or it's the art, you hear it's the art of negotiation and it's all of these things. And all of that stuff is true within reason. But 9 times out of 10, both the buyer and the seller have the same goal in mind. They both want to close the deal, and so do the agents. There's really no reason to come at it from like, hey, you're the enemy and I'm working for my client. It's more like, hey, let's see how we can get this done where both sides feel good at the end, and and we can have a working relationship when we're finished.
I love that, and I love the perspective that you bring to the industry, because I feel like you said, it's for the good of our clients if we can make sure that deal, that everybody is getting a good deal.
Yeah.
And that's something you told me too. You said it's not a good deal unless everybody is blessed, right?
Yes, exactly. It's not a blessing unless both sides feel blessed when they walk away from something. If one walks away from the table like, wait a minute, I feel like I gave and gave and gave, and they took and took and took, then, that's not the goal. That's not what you want to do. You can get a good deal. You can walk away thinking, hey, I've got great equity in this. But the other side can feel the same, just as much.
Absolutely. And I think that's where our background, the Bible talks about being equally yoked or maybe not being unequally yoked.
Yeah.
And my parents have talked about that even in business since I was young, that's not just, it doesn't just apply to marriage, it applies to business. And so not in a prideful way, but just in an encouraging way, it definitely was so encouraging. And I felt like it gave us that foundation together, that our mind was centered together, and also we were just unified.
Yeah.
And it allowed us to really, in leadership, they talk about rowing the same direction.
Oh, yeah.
And I've always felt like we really do row.
Oh, for sure.
The same direction.
You may row a little faster at times.
I jump up in the water
hold on,
and swim over the boat. And you've
then
been in the boat the whole time.
Let me unhook the boat. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's true. That's so true. So from there, we began to really build. And I think our first foundational things that I spoke about earlier were obviously just the paperwork. You wanted, as a principal broker, you wanted everything that left Heritage Group to be excellent. The contracts,
for sure.
The every piece of paperwork, we wanted it to look like Heritage Group. So we really focused on that before we really started recruiting. And then also we wanted to lay the foundation of our values so that when we recruit, everybody knew those values. And we laid out what you can find on our website as the HG Big Five. And we listened to a lot of great leaders, which that I think would probably be one of our biggest pieces of advice for anybody looking to go out and start this business, live your dreams, do what God has called you to do. Don't be afraid to really seek out people who do things that you want to do in a really excellent way.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's one thing you'll learn. And I think in any business, it's, and I think we talked about this yesterday too. There is a thing to be a trailblazer, and you can blaze trails and you can find a new path and you can do something really great. But it's equally as important to look at the foundations that other people have built. And, there's a scripture in Jeremiah that says, standing at the crossroads, go back to the old ways, the tried and true ways, and go from there. And I think there's something to be said to look at successful companies and successful businesses and business leaders, or even just mentors or people that you're like, the way they treat people, the way they handle things, that's what I want to model after.
Yes.
And really pay attention to those things and set those foundations first. And then there's opportunity to blaze a trail where it's like, what, for us, we really view real estate as marketing. And so that's part of our job. We're taking care of our clients. But we've got a job to do. We've got to market their house. We've got to market our agents. We've got to market our company. And so we were able to almost blaze a trail in that sense, but keep those foundational pieces there first so that we could build a successful company.
That's right. And we found that when we sat down and we really compiled this list of what that looked like, what the foundations look like, we came up with 5 things, and it was gratitude, humility, investment, concierge, and integrity.
Yeah.
And you can read more about, we explain a little bit more on our website, but it just helped us really focus in, get a focus and make sure that everything we did, we are really leaning into those foundational truths, those values. And when we teach our agents, when we do trainings, we talk about what that looks like. What does it look like to have integrity when you are working with a client? What does it look like to have gratitude? Because, man, one thing we've learned is we've had some really hard couple of years in the real estate market. And one thing that you and I always encourage each other to do is to be grateful for. It's so easy to think about, man, this is a hard month, or why isn't God doing this faster?
Yeah.
And when we just can look behind us and be thankful and grateful for what God has done, and for every single person and every single client, for each other, for our families, for the Lord. And it recenters you immediately and helps you kind of get through those harder times. There is
always, and it's something that my kids and I say a lot too, like, even because you can sit there and you can name off hard, you can name off that, this could be better, this could work. But if you will take a step back and look, and it's very easy to look and say, but it's still a really good life. Yeah. It's still a really great life. There's still really amazing things that are happening. It's the relationships. It's what, and to take a step back and to say, okay, what do I need to see in this moment? What things can I change? Yeah. What can I focus on? If it's slow, okay, what can I pour into right now? What knowledge can I gain in these circumstances? And those are the instances where then you can take a perspective and be like, you know what, you're right, it was slow, or it's not working the way we thought we would, but I had some great traction today. I was still able to do some things. I learned a lot. I was able to make some tweaks. So I'm going to be prepared when the busy comes, and when this season stops, and I step into something easier or a faster pace or anything like that, you're more prepared for it. So you learn to, I think it comes with age. I think it comes with parenting and, all the things of life. You learn to just pay attention to what you're being shown in those moments.
That's so true. Yeah. And being a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
I think if people knew me in my 20s, early 20s, they probably could see why the Lord waited till this phase in my life to give what he's given and to trust me with what he's trusted me. And some days I ask the Lord, I'm like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Because truly, I think if people look at us and this beautiful building and the people that we get to do life with every day, it's easy to criticize that, especially looking back at my past and thinking, well, because for me, Justina, I went and took, this about me, I took real estate classes. I failed the test. I think I was 18 years old. I met Cody. And from that moment, I was an entrepreneur. We opened an office supply company. I stayed at home with my babies. I had a hardware company. I had a fitness company. And so people might look at that and think, how in the world did you get to this place? And I would just submit that it's just being obedient to the season, because I knew God was taking me, and sometimes it's not always, sometimes it's embarrassing to be honest with you.
It doesn't make sense a lot of times. And that's something, in my life too, I've learned it can seem embarrassing. It can seem like I can't get it together. I can't figure it out kind of thing. Yep. And sometimes it's just, that's God's plan. He's gonna turn and twist. And then you can look back. Like when I graduated from college, I submitted my resume everywhere. And I was like, because that's what you do. You're going to go get a great job. And I pulled into a really great company here in Fort Smith for my job interview. And I just really felt the Lord say, this isn't where you're supposed to be. And I was like, okay, no problem. I won't get offered the job if that's the case. Yeah. No. I got offered the job. And it was a good job, but this was a company that I had been told in the past, like, you don't turn down a job from here because then you will never get offered a job again. You can never come back. And so it was like, oh my gosh, it's that scary of, oh shoot, what do I do? What do I say? And I remember picking up the phone and calling and saying, thank you so much. But I just don't think this is where I'm supposed to be. Yeah. And then when I got into real estate, I was like, oh, I don't know if this is right either. This seems, I was looking at it from a completely different perspective. Like, it's sales. You've got to, because there are so many that it's like, and for some this works. So not to throw shade at this, but like you make this many phone calls, you knock on this many doors and you do this. And I'm like, I am not a salesperson. Like, I'm that person who I've got to hype myself up for rejection. So it's like, if I'm going to make a phone call, I've got to be like, it's okay. It's going to be fine. It's okay if they say no. There's nothing wrong. And then you got to make the phone call and you're like, and then you got to do it again for the next phone call and the next phone call. And it clicked when I realized it's just about helping people. Yeah. This is an industry where it's like, you tell me what you need and I can find that. I can take care of that. And I can gain my knowledge in real estate where I can anticipate what's coming and I can help you and I can negotiate and I can do all of those things for you. But the craziest was my first full year in real estate. My W-9 was double what I would have made at that company that I turned down. Wow. But even more so, I was able to go to every Christmas party, every party at my kids' school. If my kids were sick, I was able to, take off. It wasn't a big deal to work from home, all of those things. So in that moment was like, okay, God, I see what you're doing. And, and that's been the best part about this job. It can be crazy busy at times. There's, it can run you if you don't put those things in place to, to learn to run your own business. But there is so much reward to it where it is, just like having Silas sitting on the desk, while I'm typing an email or, for Jordan to be a part of our company and for the girls to come in and Brody showing up in our reels and things like that. Like those are the moments. That's what was the heart behind the company of let's build a legacy and something that our kids can see. This is the reward when you do things the right way and when you treat people right and you put God first and your family first. And you just keep your priorities in check.
Oh, it's so true. It's God's best. Yeah. And I think one thing we've learned is to just hold our company like this. We've said this multiple times. Why? With our hands open and just, Lord, thank you for this. Yeah. We will listen to you. We will follow you. We will never take this for granted. And we will, every single year, we will ask you what's next. Yeah. What's next. And, as we're talking to maybe our viewers, that's something that I would like to just together encourage young ladies, young men as well, but young ladies, if that is something that your heart desires, because I believe that God gives women this nurturing heart. And that's on purpose. That's intentional that he gives us that. And so for us, both of us, when we started talking, the moments that we feel most fulfilled is when we really feel like we are connecting with our kids. And you can have it all. Maybe not at the same time because both of us had seasons. We stayed with our babies. But if you ask the Lord, he will allow you to find something that if your heart is to stay home with your baby someday, there is a way to have a really fun, fulfilling career where you don't completely lose yourself, but you're also able to be there with your kids. So if that's the desire of your heart, then pray about it now and think about and look at us because it's not always one or the other. And I think, my mom grew up, she stayed home with us. Yep. So whenever I got older, I remember thinking, I do not want to be a stay-at-home mom. Yeah. I am not my mom. I'm not wired. She is one of the best people in the whole world. And I just remember thinking the pressure of, my gosh, how can I be like my mom when I want to be like my dad? You know? And it's so cool how God just gave us both. And so anyways, that's just an encouragement to you young ladies who maybe you have a passion for a certain career. Just be encouraged that just because other people say it has to be this box, it does not have to be.
No, that's so true. And I think for us with age and with experience, you learn that things are for a season. Yep. And so it may seem, if you can look at it in that perspective of, right now it may seem like all I'm doing is, babies and diapers and all the things. And it's like, I think as women we're like, gosh, our brain is going 100 miles an hour and there's so many different things that we could do. But if you can look at it as this is for a season, and I'm going to give my all in this season and do whatever I can in these moments. And then you'll see how God works every season and builds upon that and then opens doors at the right time. And sometimes the doors open and he says, no, not that one, don't, not yet, or, those things. And, if you'll learn to listen and to, even if you miss it, to go back.
Gosh, I've never heard anyone say that in the Christian world of sometimes there's going to be doors open for you. Because a lot of times we hear teaching, if a door opens, that's the Lord.
Yeah.
But man, that's such a good point.
Good is not God's best.
That's right.
Always. It may look good. Yeah. It may be more money. It may be great opportunities. It may be, oh my gosh, these were my dreams. But it might not be God's best. And sometimes he's like, yeah, that's good, but that's not it. And it doesn't make sense. And what's hard to wrap your mind around is it seems crazy. And there's going to be people around you like, I can't believe you. Yeah. You said no to that.
Why would you not take that job that's a guaranteed paycheck? Yeah. And I think that so many of us, I have been guilty of doing what's easy or what's guaranteed a lot of the times. Yeah. And, but that's why it's so important to really, if you have the relationship with the Lord, to really ask him. And, but let's go into what makes Heritage Group different, because I know one of our big five is Concierge. And I remember us talking about foundational things. And one of the things you said is, I really want to, and I'll let you you'll say the quote, but it's something you've always said that you want to do for your agents. And that is to lighten
the load of those who work for you. Yes. And again, another scripture. Yeah. But it was when I read that, and that was in a time where we were like, we've got to get the foundations lined up. Yeah. It was like, oh gosh, we can do that. We can make that happen. And so one thing that I've learned from experience is when you're busy working in real estate, it's really hard to take the time and navigate showing the public that you're busy working in real estate. And then there's so many things that just you want to do all the things at the same time, but it's really difficult if you're one person. Yeah. So for us, it was, okay, how can we streamline the contracts? Okay, we'll put clauses together. We'll help you, where you're to fill one out. We'll make it as simple as possible. But it's still done excellently. It's still, you're not dropping anything. You're not missing anything for your clients. And then what can we help provide for you? So when I first started in real estate, I had to find I had to build my own brand. I had to navigate what are the things that I need to focus on. And there's just so much information everywhere where it was like, okay, build your brand. Don't make it look like somebody else's. You need business cards. You need this. And it was, to 100% honest, it was, I walk in this company and they say, here, hold your phone up or pick the phone up, the desk phone. Yeah. And they take a picture. They're like, there you go. Put that on your business card. There you go. Like, look like you're busy, kind of thing. Awesome. And it was like, oh, okay. And I was one of the first at that company that started doing professional photography on my listings, and the agents were like, you're nuts. Yeah. And I was like,
because it is a significant, especially at that time, it was a significant cost.
Yes, it was.
That you're paying out of your pocket.
Right. And in a market that wasn't, I think, we have agents who came on during COVID and when, and so their first deals were, several $100,000 transactions and things like that. And so their first take-home check was really great. My first take-home check was, I think, 8 months into the business. It was some two guys that were going to start flipping houses. And my check was $740.
That's so great. Yeah. I love it when you tell that.
Because, and it didn't cover my classes. Yeah. It didn't cover my,
you were in the red.
Yes, for a while. Yeah. It didn't cover my classes, my license fees, my brand packaging. Yeah. It didn't cover any of that. And so for us, it was, we can make that happen. Yeah. For you and I and our partnership, it was, I can do the contracts, I can do all of that. And you're like, hey, I've got the marketing side. And so to be able to give that to our agents and to sit down and be like, okay, tell us who you are, and we're going to show you how to tell the public who you are, and to establish the trust between you and your potential clients. And so those were the things that came so easy for us. And then just what tools do we need to have available for you? We can make that happen. Closing gifts. Hey, those closings, you think they're coming, and then the next thing you know, it gets changed or it's faster or things like that. So for us to be like, hey, we can make that happen. We can make sure that you are able to really take great care of your clients. Those were just easy to us. It seemed like no brainers. Like, we can make that happen for you and take that load off of them. Like, focus on your clients. You focus on building the business, and we'll help you from behind.
Yeah, that was our heart, and we were so together on that. And I think the word that we started using was concierge. We want, first of all, we want our clients to feel like no matter what, if we're selling their trailer home, their first investment property, their trailer home on some land, their big mansion on a hill. We came from Crawford County. I have lived in every size of house, on every size of land. From when I first got married, Cody and I started out in a very nice house. At the time, he had saved up. He was a young man, and I went straight from my parents right into his paid for house. I would have not had by myself, but it was a house in Van Buren, and we remodeled and all of that stuff. But I know our heart in the beginning was, we're not just a certain demographic brokerage. We want every single person to feel concierge service when they walk through the door. With that said, we also want our agents to be able to provide that. And to provide that, you and I, our heart was to be a concierge to them.
Yeah. So, the way we've looked at our business model has been that we have two sets of clients. Heritage Group does. We have our buyers and our sellers, and then our agents. Our agents are our clients as well. And so we've really tailored our business to provide concierge for both, to give them what they need to be successful, to give them the tools to go and take care of their clients. And it's made a huge difference. And it has given them the opportunity to look at, it doesn't matter the size of the transaction. It doesn't matter. It's your goals are my goals. And what can I do to help take care of those? How can I help you move forward? All of those things. Because in real estate, there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun transactions. There's big, beautiful homes, and there's all of that stuff. And there's flip houses where they've made a great profit and they're super excited and those things. And then there's those moments of, hey, listen, I got to sell this house right now before I lose it. And hey, also, we're going through a divorce. So there's learning to navigate those as well, and to really just meet the clients where they're at and walk with them through the process and make sure that we do everything we can to take great care of them.
Yeah. One thing that I love that you talk about is the confidentiality that we talk about at Heritage Group.
Yeah.
Something you don't think about often unless you're in that situation is there are times in all of our lives when we don't want people to know what's going on, and it's really nobody's business.
Right.
And so often I've heard you talk about, somebody will ask you a question and about a transaction, and you will just professionally dismiss it in a way because that's not public knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's something you teach our agents as well. And not everybody comes into Heritage Group. We don't have any agents who have a problem with that, but not every brokerage really teaches that.
No, and it's crazy because it's a core standard. Yeah. It's, especially if you're a realtor or, those are, and even in your real estate, the rules and regulations and all of that, it is something that you are supposed to uphold to. But I think it's easy if you're a talker.
Yeah.
If you really don't train your mind.
And I'm a talker, but I'm definitely not someone that shares details. And there's a difference. You have to really,
a huge difference. It's one of those things where you just have to be very mindful and to know that the confidentiality goes from forever. Once they're your client, it's good. Forever. So it means if you know things, you keep them quiet. And I think that's what's allowed us to navigate. We've been court appointed at times to handle a transaction or things like that, but to have the conversation one-on-one with both parties and say, hey, listen, what you tell me is what you tell me. It doesn't go any further. I understand this is frustrating. I understand there's a lot of emotion to this. We'll get through it. Yeah. We've all got the same end goal. And what you share is confidential, and nobody's going to know if it's heated or what's behind it. Why are we doing this? Why are you selling? Right. We don't ever disclose why somebody's selling a house unless they tell us to. There's times where it's like, hey, listen, we love the house. There's nothing wrong with it. We got a great job. We're moving out of state, things like that. And they want you to share those things. Yeah. And then there's other times where it's just the house is on the market. You want to buy it or not, kind of thing. And so you learn to navigate all of that. And you learn to it's really just about asking your clients, taking those moments to ask your clients, hey, what do you want me to share? What do you not want me to share? What are your goals? All of those things. How do you want me to communicate with you? What's the best way for me to handle this? You want a group text? You want emails? You want me to, is it just, I've had some where, one person's job's way busier than the other. So they're like, hey, just get
text
with me.
Cody. Yes. That's what I would probably tell somebody. Go ahead, text Cody. Yeah. Oh, no, that's so good. And I want to talk about, the future to wrap up here in the last couple minutes. I know you're always uncomfortable when I brag about you, but you are the incoming president at the Board of Realtors.
Of the Western River Valley Board,
Thank you. I'm really proud of you for that.
Thank you.
One thing that I think that has made Heritage Group grow, I know it has made Heritage Group grow, is your heart for the community and your industry, and not just for the agents at Heritage Group, but you have a heart to make the industry better as a whole, which, I think many people have that same heart, but it's been really cool to watch you volunteer and show up and encourage other people. One of the things that we like to talk about is collaboration, we want to be a brokerage that collaborates with other brokerages and other agents. And we never want people to feel weird about dropping by the office and being in the same room. These are our colleagues in the industry. And so I'm really excited to see your leadership at the board. And then you also gave me the news, and I'm probably going to butcher this, so I'm going to let you talk about it, but you were appointed to a state position as well. Is that correct?
To
Tell
a committee.
Me. Okay.
This is my first one. I get to sit on the legislative committee this year, and I'm excited to learn all of that.
And really help make some decisions maybe for our industry, because I know there's a lot of things that maybe have changed and we want to have a voice in those things at a greater level. And so
and to be able to articulate it to our clients and to our agents and stuff, in the best way, because the media is so loud, and there have been so many changes and so many things that have gone on. But to be in the room, it'll be a lot of listening for me for the first year, but to be in the room to really gain a full understanding of, what it is. Because a lot of times it's like, you got about a fraction of what's actually going on or what's actually true. And the rest of it is, we've said it. We've said it to our agents. A lot of it's business as usual. It's the way we have always conducted ourselves. It's just now it's required for all the ones who didn't think that it was important for them to do the same. And so that's a great thing that makes our industry better. It makes it where it's everybody's handling things that way, and it makes it where it's more transparent for the buyers and the sellers. So it's not a bad thing. It's a little more paperwork, but that's what we're good at. So that's fine.
So going into 2025, lots of changes. We actually have big announcement coming up. We have some things happening at Heritage Group. Some growth happening. Also just want to invite anybody that is thinking about choosing a brokerage.
Oh, absolutely.
Or maybe you want to make a change. Maybe you heard our hearts, and then maybe you could go to our website and just check out some of those values that I talked about earlier. We'd love to have a conversation with anybody who felt like maybe this is the team that they want to join. We have a location in Fayetteville as well. Northwest Arkansas is really growing. We know with all of the things happening in Bentonville, that's something that we want to in 2025 really tap into. Fort Smith is growing, and we'll talk about that probably further on future podcasts. Please let us know what you want to hear as well. We want to talk about things that matter to our community and to our state. We are also licensed in Oklahoma. Not everybody knows that.
Yeah. And in Texas.
And then how many agents are we at right now?
Oh, shoot. You shouldn't have asked
I know.
me today.
I think 40? Fort Smith.
We have 36 here. And so I think we're at 40.
Yeah. I think we're at 40 now. So, growing, very excited about the growth, making sure that we're setting the foundations, the people are the right seats, and just constantly thinking about what else can we provide to our agents that's going to lighten their load. And I think if we were to say that, Heritage Group is different in what way, I would say that would be it, is that there's never probably going to be a ceiling where we say, okay, now we're just going to stop investing and we're just going to take... You and I have always said, as we grow, we will be investing back into Heritage Group. So podcasting, this is exciting. More videography, and just marketing workshops maybe for our team. I'm really excited for that. So anything else you want to say?
No, I think you covered it.
Yeah, let us know what you want to hear about. We're super, super excited. There's a man behind the camera that we're also very excited about. Hopefully he will share a little bit on his social media, but we are excited. And thank you for listening to us. Thank you for letting us share our story. Let us know what you want to hear.